It's your boy Vibes. I got another video for you guys, and I got a kind of cool uh, digital art trick that you can use in Photoshop. I think you could use it in Clip Studio Paint. It's pretty much universal, and it's gonna revolutionize your shading if you do it right. So you know what? Let's get right into it. Now, this is a finished piece that I did on stream last week, and actually I'm very proud of this. But this was actually my first attempt at using this trick that I'm going to be showing you guys, um, and you can't actually tell that I used it, and I'm glad that you can't. That's kind of like not what the finished product's supposed to look like, but let me show you how it works. But it's definitely going to revolutionize either highlighting or shading depending on how you want to use it. So I'm just going to get rid of all this real quick, and we're going to put this background. Very important, because this is going to be the first part of it. First off, getting rid of everything but the line work, so you can see where I was at when I started coloring, because that's going to be part of the shading. But the first part of this trick is actually this right here. I spent some time as my first layer on top of this background, which is why you need it. I took a bright color like a yellow. I've seen using red, stuff like that. Using yellow just to see where you're coloring, it stands off from the gray. But I use this to draw where the base colors and the highlights are supposed to be when I color in the picture. If you have prior knowledge to how shading works, this method actually becomes really easy. Personally, I do have a bit of knowledge using shading, but I'm not like a professional, not yet. Hope to be, but as I was saying, you color in the spots that have either your base colors or highlights, and then you leave the spots that are going to be shaded transparent. So as you can see, if I were to take these backgrounds off, there's nothing under there, so it's completely transparent, and there's going to be a good reason for that later on. So basically, you're supposed to do this and figure out where your light source is first. That's the most important thing. You need to know where your light source is first before you can even start doing this, because if you don't know where that is, you won't know where the highlights and the shadows are going to be. So my light source, there we go, is actually on the right side over here, and it's hitting probably right here, hidden like right in that direction. There's certain parts of the body that get shaded by different other parts. So as you can see, this whole side right here is going to get hit by the light because nothing's going to block it, but the right side of the torso here is going to get blocked by the arm because I have it in front. So it's going to get blocked by it a little bit, so I added not added, but I didn't color in that side just because of the shadow that comes from here. And then same goes for this arm. Then notice how I only colored in just like the middle part, because this edge is going to be having shadows because it's farther away from the light and it's facing against it, and also it's being covered up or blocked by the torso. And the same goes for down here. Figuring out which thing goes on top, which is in the foreground, which is behind it, or in front, and how it's arranged. So the same goes here. I use the little banner that's under his armor, and so you see there's a shadow here, but all these parts of the clothing here also have a shadow from the banner. So it's important just to understand where your light source is and how shadows react to said light source, and use it to your advantage to create like good solid shading. So now my next part of this trick, instead of just doing this in the base colors that I want, I did it all in one color just to see if I was doing it right. So now that I have things right, the next thing you can do just to make sure that things go a lot faster is, instead of just going over it with a brush and having to make sure that you get it exactly how you did it here. Photoshop makes things easy, and you can control or um, command in on a Mac. Control click the layer that you did the color in. So the actual pixel down here in um, the box here on the layer, you click that and it selects everything, every pixel that you use on that layer. As you can see, I didn't fill it in completely, so I actually went back and fixed that in later. So you control click that, and then if you want to make another layer, and you're gonna see I'm just gonna do a random color here, but as you can see, it doesn't color anywhere else but besides that. Hello? And besides that selection, which is super important because that's exactly how I got the colors in here to work. Let me just deselect that. So there's actually a couple layers that go on here. This is basically going to be the color and shading. So first off, as you can see, now I use that exact selection to the T. I never colored out of it because I used that selection trick that I just showed you, and now you have all the base colors that I wanted to use for this, and it still leaves the spots open, so now they're still transparent. As you can see, they're still transparent, and that is because the next part is shading. So shading becomes very, very easy as after you get to this point. When you do this, you now can just put colors under it. So this might not look pretty, but when you put it under, it goes perfectly under it because you left it transparent, and it's just going under the base colors that you did. So basically, it already looks so much better. And the only work that really went into it was going in and coloring in this layer over here. This is the only work that really went into it. Like, if you get that layer down, then things can look a lot better when you get the finished colors, and this isn't even done yet. So now that you have the shading and the base color that you wanted, and things are starting to look good, but it looks a little drab, you know. It's unusual. There we go. Make sure that you get everything. I had things on 2 different layers, but now we're gonna worry about the highlights. And now that you have the shading, you have the base colors, and you know where your light source is from, highlights will be pretty simple. That is actually the highlights for the red clothing. So all I did was I said, okay, light source is coming from the right side of the body, or from the right side of the canvas. So a light's gonna hit here, all across that arm, and this side of the torso. But as I was stating before, shading, the torso will block part of the light. So highlights won't get past this part. It'll be over here because the torso isn't blocking that part of the arm. So that's why I put the highlight there instead of it being on the edge, this edge of the base colors. And then figuring out how light works on parts like this it takes a little bit of time to understand, unless you're like an artistic genius, which you guys probably are. You guys are incredible artists from what I've seen out there, but just looking around and figuring out how light's gonna hit different parts, and then trying to figure out how the texture of each piece is gonna be. So this, I want it to be more like a pointy, 4-pointed, or like a pyramid type thing. So the light will hit on certain parts, and then the shadows will make it feel like it's coming to a point, which is why I didn't give it highlights all the way to the lines that I've had drawn here. But yeah, just taking time to figure out how the light hits from that direction. It's important to also use reference here. Now, I think that really hits home when it comes to this piece, after that, I kind of just did some finishing touches, but it really streamlined the process of drawing when I did things in this way rather than how I did it before. I think this made the shading and everything look so much more refined and so much better. It looks a bit more realistic. It seems, for the style I'm going for here, which is kind of like a anime Dragon Ball Z type of thing, especially with the way the folds work and the arms and everything. Not trying to be bulky like them, but you guys know what I mean. But yes, I think this really worked out well. I plan to use this trick a lot, and I feel like a lot of people should know about it. This trick also is technically not mine. I kind of what's it called? I kind of remixed it, changed it a little bit. There was a streamer I was watching when I found out about this. His name is V Works Art. I will actually link it in the description. You guys should go definitely check out his streams. Super fun, super awesome. He showed the trick, but he used them for shading instead of for the base colors and highlights, like how I did it. And then, you know, everybody has their own way of using art and the way they want to do it, so that's cool. He definitely is a very talented artist, so you definitely got to go check them out. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to go check out all the links in my link tree, which is always in my description in all of my videos. And be sure to tag me on Instagram or on like Twitter to any other art that you guys create, or if you guys use this trick or anything like that. Alright, I'll leave you to it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.